10 passages, some narrower than a city highway, some barely wide enough for two ships to pass each other. And if any one of them closes, the global economy starts breaking apart within days. This is the map the world's governments are most afraid of. Here is a fact that should genuinely alarm you. Roughly 76% of all the oil the world produces does not travel through pipelines. It does not travel through trucks or trains. It travels by sea, across vast oceans, and then through a handful of narrow passages so small, so specific, so irreplaceable, that a single country sitting on the wrong coastline can hold the entire global economy to ransom. These passages are called choke points, and there are 10 of them that matter most. Together, they carry the fuel that heats homes, powers factories, moves food from farms to supermarkets, and keeps the lights on across virtually every country on Earth. Nobody thinks about them until one of them closes. In 2026, one of them did. And the world is still recovering. The Strait of Hormuz, 167 kilometers long, just 39 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. And through those 39 kilometers every single day flows roughly 20% of all the oil and liquefied natural gas the world consumes. Not just oil either. The Hormuz carries fertilizers, aluminum for construction, helium for semiconductors. It is the most concentrated point of vulnerability in the entire global supply chain. Its name comes from a god, Hormuz, the 𝐉𝐸⁻ deity of wisdom and order. Marco Polo sailed through it. Chinese Admiral 𝐁𝐻 made it the final stop of his treasure fleet. Every civilization that understood trade eventually found its way here. Iran controls the northern shore. When the 2026 war began, prices hit $126 a barrel. Vessel traffic dropped 89%. Around 2,000 ships sat stranded. European banks refused letters of credit for Hormuz-dependent cargoes. The bypass pipelines carry around 6.5 million barrels a day combined. The strait normally carries 20 million. All of Qatar's LNG, all of Kuwait's oil, all of Bahrain's exports have no alternative route whatsoever. Now here's where it gets bigger. Because Hormuz is just one of 10. The Strait of Malacca between Malaysia and Indonesia is actually the world's highest volume choke point, around 24 million barrels a day. Narrowest point, 2.7 kilometers. 80% of China's energy imports pass through it. Piracy is a persistent threat. There is no equivalent alternative. The Suez Canal connects the Red Sea to the Mediterranean. Close it, and ships reroute around Africa, adding 15 extra days of transit time. Roughly 12% of all global trade passes through it. Just south of Suez sits the el-Mandeb, the Gate of Grief, around 4.2 million barrels a day. Houthi forces weaponized it in 2023, and shipping companies rerouted almost overnight, sending Cape of Good Hope traffic surging by nearly 50%. The Bosporus runs directly through the city of Istanbul, less than 700 meters wide at its narrowest, around 3.5 million barrels a day. Supertankers threading through an urban waterway in fog or at night. The Danish Straits connect the Baltic Sea to the North Sea, around 4.9 million barrels a day, historically critical for Russian oil exports into Europe. The Panama Canal links the Atlantic and Pacific. Modern supertankers are now too large for it, which limits its role in oil trade, but it remains essential for container shipping and LNG. The Strait of Gibraltar is the gateway between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. Every ship moving oil into southern Europe or out of the Mediterranean passes through it. The Lombok Strait in Indonesia serves as the main alternative when Malacca becomes too congested or too risky, adding extra distance but offering deeper water for larger vessels. And finally, the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa. Not a strait, but the world's most important backup route. When any of the others fails, ships end up here. 10 passages. That is the entire system. The 2026 crisis did not create a new vulnerability. It exposed one hiding in plain sight. The world built a global economy on one assumption: these passages stay open. That assumption was wrong. When insurers pull out, ships stop. When ships stop, the world feels it within days. The choke points were never just geography. They were always leverage. 10 narrow passages. That is what separates the world as it functions from the world in crisis. The global economy was built around efficiency, not resilience. And the price of that choice is 10 strips of water that any determined actor can turn into a weapon. If this changed how you see the news, subscribe and hit the bell. And tell me in the comments, which of these 10 do you think the world is most underestimating right now?